This painting is one of my favorite paintings in Minecraft, but not because of its art, but because of its purpose. There are many paintings in Minecraft, with most being made by either Kristoffer Zetterstrand or Sarah Boving, but there's one painting that's not like the others. Wither is made by Jeb. Now, this is odd because out of all the paintings in the game, one is made by a developer and not an artist. And I believe that this painting was made by Jeb as an instruction, a guide. In fact, this idea of subtle instructions and guides is an incredibly important aspect of game design. Picture, if you will, 9-year-old me. I load up Minecraft to find the latest update news, and right before the 100th removed Herobrine, there is a changelog that says, added the Wither, added beacons. I was excited. I quickly loaded up a creative world and attempted to find this new creature. I probably spent about over an hour looking at a nether fortress attempting to find this Wither thing, to no success. The solution? The internet. No. Okay. The internet, sure. But what if the game could tell me? Introducing the Wither painting. Now, imagine that 9-year-old is decorating his house, and because he's not good at building yet, he's going to decorate his flat monoblock wall with a painting. And this painting shows up. It looks like blocks in the game, and now this child is thinking, hey, I could build that. This is an example of how developers can communicate concepts, ideas, and instructions to players in the game. This painting is important because it tells the player that the Wither is in the game and how to summon it. The game is communicating with the player. Now, this idea or concept doesn't have an official name. Now, many games do this. If you've loaded up a game and been presented with a tutorial of some kind, this is kind of an example of that, albeit a very direct and explicit one. Another way to achieve this in a more discreet manner is environmental storytelling. Now, environmental storytelling is most often used to communicate lore or history or some kind of backstory for a place or a people. But it can also convey information. It can also be this communication we're talking about. Have you ever walked past a cracked wall in a video game and thought, I wonder if there are any kind of explosives in this game that can break that wall? This is an example of that communication. The developer is telling you through environmental storytelling that, hey, this wall is weaker. A sufficient blow might be able to break it. And sure, many games do this kind of discrete communication, but why is it important? After all, can't we just look things up on the internet? And yeah, that's true. Most gamers will just look things up on the internet. This type of game design where you are communicating things to the player in the game was incredibly important in the time before the internet. Before the internet, you didn't have forums to browse, wikis to read, or videos to watch. You had to rely on what you found in the game, what your friends told you at the playground, and if you were lucky, a guidebook. Back in the 90s, this communication was critical. But what about now? Sometimes it just makes games better. It makes them fun. It makes them immersive. Sure, looking things up on a wiki might be way more efficient to finding out the information and exactly how something works, but it can kind of break your immersion. You're having to stop playing this game to go look something up on how the game or the game world works. Think about it this way. Imagine you are the champion of the Kanto Pokemon League. You pull out your Pokedex, and it says you have caught 149 out of 151 Pokemon. And some trainer comes up to you saying, there's an incredibly powerful Pokemon hiding in Cerulean Cave. Now, you could either go look this up on the internet and you would learn that this Pokemon is the legendary Mewtwo. Or you could think back to something you read on Cinnabar Island. In the Pokemon Mansion, you remember reading these research notes about this team of researchers who found some kind of DNA lost in the jungle and attempted to make a clone of this DNA, make the clone stronger, an experiment that they called Mewtwo. You then go to Cinnabar Island to find out that your investigation was right. It is indeed Mewtwo. Which of these two options felt more immersive? Which one made you feel like you were actually in the world of Pokemon? Putting these hints and clues in the game helps add to the player experience. It makes you feel like an adventurer, an investigator, a Pokemon trainer. That is why this kind of communication is incredibly important. It makes games better. And that's why I love this Wither painting. It represents a topic in game design that is incredibly important and helps make the games feel more fun and immersive. If Minecraft existed in a world without the internet, we would still be able to figure out that the Wither is in the game and how to summon it. Maybe this painting is a warning to future adventurers, a danger against creating this creature that can destroy life, and if made too powerful, can destroy even things that were supposed to last forever. It's not just a piece of art, it's a message. Remember, sometimes you don't need the internet for the clues you seek. Sometimes they're in the game, in the world, waiting to be discovered.